as for the defense, and I'm guessing there's no Bears fans on here, I could not have been more impressed with how Caleb Williams looked. And you look at his receiving core and you're reminded of who they could be this year with Rome Odunze, the rookie, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. Keenan Allen and DJ Moore gave the Bengals DBs trouble all day long. It doesn't have to be an indictment on the Bengals defense or some kind of glowing statement about the Bears offense. It just, to me, looked like the Bears offense was better than the Bengals defense.
So now even they're talking about us. A reflection of all that you do when no one is watching. Except maybe the HBO cameras and by association, everyone that's watching HBO, but that is besides the point. Studying your strengths so that you can unleash them at will. Challenging yourself so that no foe is greater than anything you've already faced. And understanding your environment so that the environment is one with your flow. Focus on those elements and the world will continue to be put on notice. Game, recognize, game. So, what did we learn about the Bears this week?
I think you said it. Game, recognize, game. Look, for any fan, all you want is for your team to be talked about, for your team to be relevant, to have the national media spend a segment on them, 2 segments on them, right? The last thing you want is your team doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, it's sports. What are you really rooting for? It's like bragging rights. It's being able to say, that's my team, they're winning, that makes me happy. You want national props and you want national recognition. And the Bears are getting that. Right now, is it deserved? Is it not deserved? I think it's, a lot of it could be like 70-30 hype versus actual, right? Because nothing's happened so far. But like you said, game, recognize, game. That was Jeremy Rauch, I think.
Jeremy Rauch from Fox 19, Cincinnati.
Right. Going out of his way to say, yeah, here's what report on my team. But, man, let me go out of my way to talk about this other team and how impressed I was with them. We talked about their defense was great. I was reading something that even in the joint practice, Joe Burrow didn't throw at Jalen Johnson at all. This was at a practice.
That just to clarify, too, that clip was from the joint practice,
Correct.
Not even like the game yet. So this man is like losing his shit.
This man knows what's going to happen on Saturday.
He saw it and he's like, oh no.
He sees the writing on the wall. Right. This was during the practice. And he's just talking about how impressed he was with Caleb. And, going from that to the game, I think a lot of it carried over. The game started out a little slow, I think. Just watching it, it looked like Caleb was trying to get the ball out almost too quickly. He wasn't letting some of the routes develop. I think he was trying to get rid of it before he had a chance to fully look at the field. Now, granted, this is my amateur take on it. Maybe he had a read. I don't really know, right? But that's what it seemed like to me, is he was trying to get it out too quick.
Was he being pressured?
Not always. No, I think the offensive line did a pretty good job of holding up. But they came out firing. Their first series was 3 straight passes. So maybe he felt a little bit of a pressure to move the sticks. I think maybe getting a run there would have helped in terms of getting a short yard situation. But they came out firing, which was cool to see.
Yeah.
I think everybody that's watching the preseason wants to see Caleb do cool shit, right? That's why you're watching, because it doesn't really matter who wins or loses. You're just like, is Caleb going to do some cool shit?
And I think there's always a part of, like, when you're watching a football game, like, I kind of want to watch, like, how I would do it in a, like, Madden, which is I'm not going to run on the first play probably because I'm playing a video game. And there is, like, a part of, like, you want to start off strong. And that doesn't mean you can throw every time and all that shit. But there is this, like, please let them know that we're here to play today, or, like, we're not playing around or whatever the right version of that is. Like, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
right here doing it.
And it turned into a video game later, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
He's just running around doing crazy ass shit. I mean, the first half was sorry, he did play the first half. The first quarter was kind of blah.
Yeah.
I think it was like 3-0. And then he had that one drive, the last drive he had with the rushing TD, where he put together 4 just mind-boggling plays in a row. I mean, and one of them was like an incomplete pass.
Was that the
one where Rome was
in the corner?
Yeah, slightly out of bounds because the Bears painted their end zone lines all weird. I don't even blame Rome for that. It looked kind of strange.
They're like a little like it hooked in or something.
Yeah, it did. It was like two
Really?
different. It was two different. It was the end zone rectangle, and there was a smaller rectangle behind it. And that was a different layout from the first preseason game or the practice. The way that it's outlined on the field, it didn't look the same. So I can see why Rome was confused.
Oh, that's weird. Just as a kind of a random aside, I feel like we always kind of not even shit on baseball. Baseball always comes up. It's always been kind of weird to me that baseball's fields are none of them are the same. Outfield is all different distances. Also in the UFC, they do like stadiums and then they fight at this thing called the Apex, which is this like venue in Vegas. That's like a smaller venue, but that cage is actually smaller than like the other cage. And so what you might be used to as like how much space you have, it gets like thrown off. And I like, that seems weird. Why don't they just?
Yeah, that is.
Why are they putting rectangles in this? Extra rectangles. It's confusing our boy.
Yeah, it is confusing our boy. That's interesting. Yeah, I never understood baseball having different sized stadiums.
Baseball's.
For all the we can shit on baseball again on this podcast.
That might be the next. We were talking about other podcast ideas in the future.
That's true. What not to do?
Yeah,
Baseball.
What the fuck is wrong with baseball?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So there was actually like a strange like. I mean, that play was great. There was we might have talked about it it doesn't matter, but like sometimes just watching a play where the person steps out of bounds, but you still get to see it all. It's like,
it was wow.
I mean, lines are whatever. Lines aren't even real. So like it was.
It didn't matter in the grand scheme of things because, the points don't matter right now.
Yeah.
Just watching him play the same backyard football that he's playing at USC, it's both cool to see and terrifying because you're wondering, is this actually going to work? I mean, before it's like, oh, it's college. It's not going to translate to the NFL. Now you're like, oh, it's preseason. That's not going to translate to regular season. And maybe it'll work in the regular season. You're like, it's not going to translate to the playoffs. I don't know. He just keeps making it work by being the exact same guy that he is. And one of the things I noticed that makes him so good when throwing on the run, a lot of guys can throw on the run, right? They roll out, gets you around a lot of rollouts for Fields. One thing Caleb does exceptionally well is he doesn't break stride when he throws it. He is full on sprinting and he doesn't need to stop or like change his cadence or like, take some awkward baby step to throw it. He can whip it just full sprint.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, okay. Because if you stop, I mean, yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, because that means you can keep your momentum going in one direction. You can continue to evade whatever.
Watch the play again. The one where Rome was out of bounds by like a foot. You'll see Caleb. He is dead sprinting towards the sideline. And when he throws it, he's still dead sprinting. He doesn't stop, change his body, or like I said, take a couple baby steps to like, re-square himself up or anything like that. He's just full dead sprint and just throws it.
So that doesn't give really the defense any cues probably when that shit's coming out.
He can launch it from whenever.
It's just moving. He's going.
Whenever he sees it, he can launch it, which is pretty cool.
Dang. Yeah. That's a really cool insight, man. That's like a subtle little thing that like the difference between like having to take a couple baby steps and do it and just kind of take that next step that you were going to do and let it roll.
Yep. He just keeps dead full on sprint, just wings it. What's also cool, if you go back and look at the other play to Rome, though the completion where he like spins out of the pocket, right?
Yeah.
The one that everybody's talking about. What's cool, if you look at him and Rome at the same time, Rome runs a shallow out route, and that
shallow out route is
that means you basically go 10 to 12 yards, and then go out towards the sideline.
Cool.
So you're making like an L. That route's open. I think he actually has him if he wants to throw it there. He decides not to throw it there. I'm not sure why, But then when he starts to bail out of the pocket and does the spin, Rome sees it and spins at the exact same time. You can watch that video and you'll both see them spin. And Rome just takes off, and Caleb launches it right in the breadbasket. But it's cool to watch. Check it out. Everybody's watching Caleb on that play.
Dude, that's fucking dope.
Watch Rome on that play. He sees Caleb bail on the out route and spin, and he spins and does a go. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool rookie to rookie report. If you haven't seen that full highlight, check it out.
Yeah, dude.
It's pretty dope.
Shit. That's awesome. Caleb got his first touchdown.
Yep.
Running.
Yep.
Looked great.
Should have had it a passing. We just talked about Rome being out of bounds. But
Yeah.
the run was great too. He was looking at Gerald Everett. That was his first read. Covered. Didn't have anybody else open, but he buys himself time. You see him about to leave the pocket, but he stays in the pocket. And then he leaves it shortly after that. Still has his eyes downfield. He still wants to pass up until like the last second. And then you see big Tevin Jenkins out in front. And I think Tev said something like, "You just follow me."
He said it?
I think he said like, "Yeah, I got you." Or it was either he said it to Caleb or Caleb said it to him, but there was communication there on that play that was basically like, let's just take it in between the two of them. I forgot who said it to who, but
I wonder what they can hear. I've always kind of been curious like that because the stadium seems so loud. I mean, a basketball stadium seems really loud.
That's
too.
true.
But like, that's kind of cool that like, obviously they can hear each other because they're like shouting hike and shit. But in that moment,
that's true. That's a good point. It's loud. Stadiums are loud. That's why some offenses move to silent counts, right? Because if you're in the opposing team stadium, the fans are loud. It's crazy. You can't hear the snap count, so you have to move to a silent count.
and how do they do a silent count?
In their heads.
And everyone's doing. How are they all like? How do they all sync up?
They sync up when they get to the line of scrimmage.
That's the
And
beginning.
then it's
of
like,
it.
yeah, we're gonna go on 2, silent count. And you're like, hut 1, hut 2, and then the center
And you have to
snaps
hope
it.
all. Well, I guess everyone else just would move when you.
I mean,
move.
most of the, the further out you get from the ball,
Yeah.
you're looking into the ball.
You're not really
right?
listening. Yeah.
The wide receivers are just waiting for the ball to get snapped and they'll move. But the linemen have to be linemen and quarterback all have to be on the same page for silent counts.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit of a disadvantage to go to that. Not a huge one though. I mean, if you've played the offensive line, if you have continuity there, those guys, they shouldn't have a hiccup with it.
And what an advantage potentially if you all can get so lined up that the defense, like that means you have like, I mean, the defense, I guess, doesn't know what count you're going to go on, even if you're like saying it, but the ability to be silent probably adds an element on your end where like they can't even, they're just like straight up guessing and you're just quietly like, we all knew we were supposed to start.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool, man. I wonder how many teams are doing that.
A lot of teams do it.
Yeah.
But a lot of teams like to utilize the hard count. I'm sure you've seen Aaron Rodgers utilize the hard count.
Yeah.
He just gets people to jump off sides all the time.
I feel like you can see when a quarterback does that, like the smug smile that they have on their face, like, fuck you. And everyone's just like, you son of a.
It's hard, though, with Aaron Rodgers because he always has the smug, fuck you smile face.
Yeah. Well, he's kind of always doing stuff that it's almost deserves that, like.
Does Ayahuasca give you a smug smile face? Is that a side effect?
Yeah. Ayahuasca in a dark cave and you just have
I keep pronouncing that wrong, I think.
Ayahuasca. Well, maybe
Ayahuasca.
you're saying it right.
Ayahuasca.
So there's another thing I want to get to as well, which we were talking about earlier this week, which is in the episode of Hard Knocks, there was a clip where the Bears were like talking to Caleb Williams. I don't know if we can do we refer to him by first name? Where are we on a first name basis with him?
Yeah. I checked in with him. He said that.
He said cool.
Yeah, he said it's fine.
So the Bears and Caleb were breaking down the different referee teams, which was very cool and interesting. And I guess I'd never really, I've heard, players talk about different refs and specifically, Chris Paul's beef with whoever that ref is that he has a beef with. There's one specific one.
Scott Foster?
Maybe. And so it's all right, so they do know them, they get their tendencies, but this was maybe tell us what they did in that.
No, that was really cool. I'd never actually seen that before, too. And I guess it doesn't really surprise me. I just never really thought about it. But yeah, you do scouting reports on the different guys you're going to go against. I guess that helps to do a scouting report on the officials, too, just to know who they are, what their tendencies are. Does this ref let you get away with certain stuff? Is this ref really tight? even like personal stuff, I bet they go into like, yo, this guy just had a baby. Make sure you ask him how their kid's doing, right? Like try to build some kind of rapport relationship, especially for a rookie, I think is important because they don't know any of the officials, right?
Yeah.
They don't know their personalities or all that. I'm sure somebody like Rogers, like you just talked about, he probably doesn't need to go over that. He's probably seen every officiating crew and kind of knows their tendencies. But I think it's cool that they thought about that for a rookie to help him out. It's pretty neat.
I wonder how teams feel about like, because there is like an element, like obviously they're not showing all of their plays on Hard Knocks and they're showing like kind of what they're doing. But there's like these little things in a sport where everything is analyzed and everything is like broken down. I wonder how the Bears maybe feel about some of that stuff, because it's like maybe other teams, I'm sure they do, but like even there was, I think I was texting you all week, but the thing when they were looking at like their wide receivers, and they had said like, how does Keenan beat his guy, which means how does DJ beat his guy? But it was such like a cool phrasing to think about, like how do we repeat that? But it was like, sometimes like people maybe have a concept of what they want to do, but then they hear a phrase like that and you're like, that's it. And like that's almost like, how do the Bears feel about, showing that? And
I think they hate it.
Yeah.
The Bears did not want to do Hard Knocks. The McCaskies have been avoiding it for years. Years and years and years. They don't want to do it. They didn't like it. I don't know what happened this year for the NFL to say, nope, you're doing it. But I think the Bears got away with not doing it for the longest time because they're one of the charter franchises. And, I think they get, I wouldn't say preferential treatment, but they get some perks, right? They can put their foot down and say, no, I don't want to do this. And, unlike the Saints, well, they'll just be like, nope, you're the Saints. You got to do it. So I don't know how they ended up doing it this year, but I know that the McCaskies are not fans of Hard Knocks. And you can tell by the way that Hard Knocks is produced and what they're showing that the McCaskies have a big say in what's being allowed to be in the production. There's a lot of, the McCaskies are very, family, mom and pop. We kind of went over this in our other podcast. I think you're gonna see a lot more family storyline. We are, an old school organization with family values. I think that's what they want to portray, and I think you're gonna get a lot of that throughout the Hard Knocks series. You saw it with DJ Moore's family going to get ice cream, right? You saw it with
hot dog flavored ice cream too.
Strange, very strange. Ugh. DJ did not like it.
Why would anybody like that shit? I mean, yeah.
You saw with Austin Reed's family coming to watch his game and doing all of that.
Austin.
He is the fourth quarterback.
Oh, yeah. Oh, his dad and mom in the... Yes, yeah. They were really upset when the game got rained out, I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm surprised they haven't shown Tyson Bagent's dad yet. Do you know who he is?
Yeah, he's an arm wrestling champion for like 25 years or some shit.
Yeah.
Giant ass arms.
Yeah. And he's pretty entertaining too. They had him on a sideline during one of the games, and I think he arm wrestled one of the sideline reporters or something and was mocking him the whole time he was beating him. So I would be interested to see him kind of come onto the stage. He's a pretty interesting dude.
What are there, 2 episodes of Hard Knocks left?
No, there's like 3 or 4, I think.
They go through training camp before the first game, right? They don't show the first game?
No, I don't think
Lead up to the first game?
I don't think so.
Okay, cool.
So, Velus is interesting. Like, they tried to highlight him. I don't even know if he's going to make the team. It's not great when he was asking the official what the kickoff rule was.
Yeah.
When that's like his best chance to make the team.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was a good moment for him. And then he didn't have a particularly good game against Cincinnati. I think he had like...
He ended up
30 carries or 30 yards on like 10 carries or something like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't that great. And yeah, he did.
He dropped, but recovered and then continued. Yeah.
It's been a problem for him though.
Yeah.
And I think he's got some competition, right? Because Colin Johnson had a great first game. Yeah. And then Dante Pettis had a great second game. And Pettis is a pro. And obviously Poles likes him because Pettis was on the team once before.
He was?
Yep. And then he got hurt and he missed most of last year. And that was the end of his deal. And then they brought him back again this year. So Poles likes him. And Poles, I feel like the guys that he likes, he gives them opportunities. Now, he did draft Velus. And so he liked Velus at some point too, which is probably the only reason he's not cut yet, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be an uphill battle for him. If Colin Johnson stays hurt, Velus has a better chance. But if Johnson is healthy and ready to go, I think he's a better option than Velus because I think Colin Johnson is about 6'6" or something like
That
that.
dude's big, dude.
And the Bears don't have anybody that's that tall in the receiving room. He would help out in a different way with something they don't already have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of big, have you seen the reports of Keenan Allen just gaining a ton of weight?
No.
People are concerned about that.
Oh, no.
People have been suggesting that he looks old, fat, and slow in the preseason.
Oh, they're giving him the James Harden treatment?
They are.
Oh, no.
But this guy has not played preseason in 6 years. He never played in the preseason during his time with the Chargers, and now he's playing. Maybe he's just I
was going to ask you, I haven't seen Keenan. Where is he? But, okay, he doesn't play in the preseason.
He hasn't typically, but Eberflus is playing him. And he's reports are that he's 230 pounds, which means there's only maybe 4 or 5 wide receivers in the entire NFL that are heavier than him. Which for Keenan Allen, you're not this is a fat dude. So I don't know. I think people are just overreacting. I mean, he had 3. I think he had 3 touchdown catches in today's practice. So
Ayo.
he probably heard those fat rumors.
That'll really light a little fire under that ass.
It does for me.
Okay, so any last thoughts from this past week?
I'm excited to keep watching Caleb. I think he does the extraordinary. I think he starting to do the regular stuff. If he can just hit the layups, it's so weird. He's already got the extraordinary down.
Yeah.
If he can hit the layups, he's going to be great. I'm excited to watch him kind of come into his own this season. And the defense is really good.
Yeah.
Kyler Gordon in the mix is really good.
Blitzing the shit out of that.
Great game. If he can stay healthy, I think the defense is good. That cornerback room is going to be very formidable. So I'm excited to watch the corners take off as well. But no, we got a game on Thursday against the Chiefs. I don't know if any of the starters are going to play because they had that Saturday game. Maybe Flus wants to get the guys conditioned for short weeks because they do exist in the NFL.
Yeah.
Maybe he wants them to play a series. Obviously, I would have no problem with that. But if not, he might just have Bajan spin it. I think Bajan's locked up the QB2 spot, so might have Bajan spin it and see how that wide receiver running back room shakes out because there are some extra faces there they're going to have to trim down.
Yeah.
Oh, one last thing is, I know we're getting a little bit on time here, but the Matthew Judon trade I thought was interesting this week too because the Bears were looking at adding another pass rusher and Judon was on the table. Even though he's 32 years old, coming off a season-ending injury, it was weird that Poles wanted to go after him. It's typically not the type of player that Poles would go after. But it was between the Falcons and the Bears, both offering a third-round pick, and the Patriots went with the Falcons, which, you could interpret as they think the pick's going to be higher.
Yeah.
Which is cool that, the Bears are finally getting some of that kind of recognition because of the Claypool trade. The Packers and Bears both offered the same round pick, and they went with the Bears trade because they felt like we were going to be a worse record. So now we're on the other side of that. We're the other team, which is kind of interesting to be in. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Hell yeah, game recognized game, man.
Recognized game. That's right. League's on notice.
Thank you very much, bro.
All right, always a pleasure.
Night.